Hello and welcome to Cabalvision HD's Bico League show, brought to you by Bloodwiser. This is your one-stop shop for all of the amazing and exciting action in the past week of Bico League. I'm your host Jim, and I'm joined as always by the second fastest big guy in Bico League, Leslie Flowers.
Hello.
And also the master of hot takes, an old veteran coach here to give us young guys some wisdom, Mr. Skulls.
Hello.
Let's head straight into the Week 5 action here with Fox's Parkour Pros 1-1 tie with iDoujin's My Anime Figures. Now, the Parkour Pros began this match with a load of petty cash, and they used that not only to get an extra reroll, but to temporarily sign the services of Star Orc Ugroth Ripper Bolgrot. Coach Fox won the kickoff and immediately got the ball to his thrower Snowball, getting ready to make a pass. The My Anime Figures form a defensive perimeter around the Orcs, but Shadowing rears its head early with a global housing crisis knocking down Inugami Kolone. Stuns and KOs are flying all over the place as eventually on turn 6, Coach Fox's own goblin, Raw Beef, opens up the scoring. However, immediately next turn, in trying to get the ball out from iDoujin's grasp, Raw Beef falls over and injures himself. Honestly, fellas, doing that the turn after scoring might just make Raw Beef my shitter of the week. A goblin falling can mean nearly certain death pretty easily, so Raw Beef has to stay on his feet in future matches. Let this be a lesson to him. Now, while the first half was an electric back and forth, the second half was sadly decided by two key moments, one from each coach. The first was a moment of error, and the second, a moment of perhaps shrewdness, perhaps cowardice. Back on defense, Fox overcommits to his defense, moving his orcs to cut off Amazon reinforcements from center field, mistakenly allowing the ball carrier to outrun his few remaining orcs and be at the touchdown line unmarked and with little pressure. This leads us to the second part, where despite being able to score uncontested on turn 14, making sure that there would be time for either coach to score in the dying turns of the match and get an actual result, Oshino Shinobu, instead, under orders of Coach iDoujin, stalls out before scoring on turn 16 for the draw. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with stalling in a league match, but I don't know, guys. Something about stalling for a tie when there was enough time to potentially win just rubbed me the wrong way. However, there was little that Coach Fox could have done. His overcommitment of players in the midfield meant that there was no one left with whom he could apply pressure with on the Parkour Pros and force the Amazons to score. It was an entertaining match, but frankly, folks, probably not one I'll be rushing back to watch in a hurry. Now, Leslie, do you think it's acceptable or a valid strategy to stall for a tie?
It's a good question. I think overall it just shows a lack of belief in oneself.
That's what I think too. Well, let's move on. We got a packed schedule. Mr. Skulls, you were at possibly the biggest upset in Bico League so far, with Sleepy Shuriman University's 2-0 victory over top-ranked Moon's 105.2 Hard Rock Cabal. What on earth happened in this match?
Yeah, I was there. Quite the interesting matchup, this one. Coach Sleepy's Meat Mountains versus Coach Moon's Beard Mountains. Two immovable objects staring at each other with Noblars and Radioactive as very much stoppable forces. The match started explosively with the Noblars scurrying into the Cabal's backline, making haste to get to the ball. And an untimely turnover on Moon's side means that they're able to pick it up and make a half cage very close to the line. Now, the wizard on Cabal's contract should have easily been able to explode these rounds. But shockingly, while the Hellfire did hit all of them, the one carrying the ball managed to stay on his feet. Radioactive was there to respond to this incredible feat and stun him, but big fat juicy MF will be enjoying an untold popularity within green skin circles after something like that. Even more surprising is what happens immediately after. Star player and contender for perhaps the stupidest ethnic name in the old world, Tony Hawk 2 manages to blitz Radioactive, knock him down, and pick up the ball, opening the score for Shuriman University. What a crazy bastard. Well, and then the rest of the first half is more in line with what's expected out of these players. A big meatball of bashes and stuns. The ball doesn't really move. Coach Moon tried his best to break away and tie the score, but it's all for naught, and his offensive drives end up being wasted. The second half starts with Radioactive trying his best to rush the ball, but a blind spot in his vision makes it so he can't see Tony Hawk Tua again running to him, and a body slam that shook the entire stadium sends the Centaur in the care of our dear field-side doctors. After this, Coach Moon simply cannot sleep through the line of ogres to attack the ball carrier, and slowly but surely J-Hope shuffles to the touchdown line and secures the 2-0 victory on turn 15. Quite the upset, if I'm honest. Hard Rock Cabal is one of the favorites to win the tournament, and until now, they were one of the favorite teams that was in line to have a perfect record at the end of it. I doubt it was on anyone's blood bingo card for them to get wiped by fucking ogres of all things. This win also puts Shuriman Yu in a tight position for the middle of the rankings. Again, something I doubt many people were expecting, considering his 8th place finish, I think it was, last season.
Indeed, anyone who took the odds on bellpolishers.old world, I'd pick the ogres would have made an absolute mint from this match.
Absolutely.
Well, let's hurry on with the show. Coach SHG's Twitch Gamers misery continues with his 2-1 loss to the baseless accusations under Coach Doc. Now, Leslie, you were at this match. Tell us all about it.
Well, right from the get-go, we can see the dire situation Baseless Accusations was in. Only able to fill in 9 of the 11 slots of the team, the difference being made up by a journeyman and a very special guest, the legendary Hubris Raykarth. Some of you more enthusiastic Blood Bowl fans will be very familiar with this Dark Elf. The game starts with what would be an incredibly advantageous start for the Twitch gamers in the shape of a blitzing kickoff event, but only being able to push a Dark Elf and having to waste a precious reroll on a Bloodlust proc before the match even begins really makes you wonder if he would have been better off if nothing had happened at all. The Dark Elves, not wanting to be outdone and wasting a turn, meander around the field and then throw the ball in the general direction of the touchdown line. A half-assed maneuver that the Vampires exploit to grab the ball, and after 4 more turns of sweaty Pale Elf on Pale Human action, Grok from X.com makes a touchdown for the Twitch gamers, the only one they'll get. The next drive is a blunderfest. The Dark Elves, through a series of passes and dodges, manage to get the ball all the way from their own touchdown line to almost the other side, only for Puff Daddy to trip at the last second and fracture his pelvis, forcing him to sit out the rest of the match. With the ball undefended, the Twitch gamers seize the opportunity to have Grok from X.com blitz during a bloodlust, attempt to assault a nearby Dark Elf, only to be wrestled to the ground, leaving the crowd stunned in silence, waiting to see what would happen to the once starved vampire. What felt like an eternity passed when suddenly he shoots back up and feeds on a nearby audience member. With that out of the way, Levante Beria seizes the opportunity created by Grok, seizing the opportunity to snag the ball and tie up the game a bit before half time. The second half feels much like the same. The players shuffle around, Northern Lion gets possession of the ball and has a near-death experience during a dodge attempt. This allows the Elves to get possession of the ball. They do, however, get intercepted back at the scrimmage line, where during an attempt to reassert control, both Bill Cosby and Asmongold Chatter get injured during a both down block action, bringing us one step closer to my Week 2 Hail Mary prediction of the league. The battle continues. Kevin Spacey gets a boo-boo on his wrist, and KSG 4011 Drills Edition, much like their namesake, dies.
Whoa, hang on. Is this the comeback of Jim's Rip Bozo Corner? KSG 4011 Drills Edition.
Dun 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 dun.
Anyway, please continue.
A crushing blow to the team, but the fight continues. An opening arises, and Skyrim 6 Mods gets the ball and tries to throw it out of the fray to a thrall on the outskirts. But in an event we haven't seen all that often, the ball gets intercepted, and it was with this that the game was sealed. The Elves book it to the touchdown line and cement their lead at 2-1. I gotta be honest, guys. Despite the 4 injuries and the death of a veteran key player, I honestly found this game to be a bit of a bore. More often than not, the players seem to be more a danger to themselves than to their opponents, which made it feel like a clown show than a real Blood Bowl match.
But there's some fans out there who absolutely love that. Mr. Skulls, do you think Coach SHG will ever be able to win a match?
It's looking grim, Jim. His chances of winning the game, winning one singular game, are kind of running out. We're already halfway through the league. He's drawn a bunch of games, which means that maybe he can get lucky and pull a win somewhere, but the vampires just aren't listening to him. They're fucking around. Just look at fucking Grok. It's rough.
Well, thank you very much, Leslie. Let's keep this on Mr. Skulls, as you were at Maurice's Natural Born Fowlers 3-1 victory over Leo's Bulging's BBC 4. I don't think anyone wouldn't have expected this result, but was there anything particularly interesting about this match?
Yeah, a rainy day for a Blood Bowl game means the players were good and soaked, but not the ball. The Bico League commissions the finest pig bladder weavers to make the balls used in the matches. They're hydrophobic, you know? It also means the ball was quite slippery this game, which caused the players no shortage of grief. I won't go on too long about this one, because everybody can look up at the matchup sheet and know how this went. The biggest surprise is that the BBCs actually scored first, a feat we can attribute to Coach Leo's improving game smarts, as well as the usual Nuffle blessings he receives every game. And speaking of grief, this one really had Lord Nuff testing Coach Maurice's mental fortitude. Felt like he couldn't do one going for it without getting punished for his hubris. Meanwhile, the BBCs were burning statistics books in the corner. Well, even with that, the sheer amount of difference in the training of the players and the usual propensity for violence from the Fowlers was enough for them to be victorious. It seems like they've been on that grind. I've seen a bit of their training regiment, and goddamn, the shit Coach Maurice puts them through looks straight out of the Imperial State Military Handbook, I would know. And it also seems like Leo's players haven't had as much time to train for this one as opposed to their previous match. Reckon all those press runs they've been doing in Bulging have been taking a toll, huh?
Ooh, Mr. Skull's casting some shade there.
Yeah, well, the economy's booming the same way they're booming their scorelines.
Tell him. This is why he's the master of hot takes, ladies and gentlemen. So, Leslie, it's only fair, since I asked about Coach SHG, I have to ask about Coach Leo. Do you think he can win a match this season?
I mean, you said it here, like, the statistics just don't matter to him. I think one of these days he's just going to walk that ball down and nothing is ever going to happen. Well, nothing
Nothing
against
ever
him at the very
happens.
least.
All right, well, let's finish off this with the final match of the week. Capri's Cretan Community College 3-2 victory over Manlet's British Museum Moyais. This match started explosively. While Manlet's British Museum Moyais won the kickoff, the Lizard's star skink moron, Cretan's protege, was able to pick up the ball and dash through 3 defending goblins for an early turn 3 lead. About as perfect of a defense for Coach Capri as he could have hoped for. While Coach Manlet wanted the ball to be passed to an open goblin, instead the designated thrower passes to Blitz on that thing, as he failed a racism roll. The British Museum Moyais get off a very good offensive cascade block after the ball was taken from them. Cretan Community College's birthing pool shooter was able to get at it first, then it went to Kevin Jr., then dubious little fellow was able to pick it up and make it a 2-0 lead to Coach Capri's Lizardmen. This tail ain't free did get hit so hard he died on his debut game no less, but the field side apothecary was able to take care of him. Now, Coach Manlet must have been given those underworld denizens the half-time talk of a lifetime, because they came back out swinging, matching the CCC's 3-turn defensive touchdown drive with one of his own. Blitz on that thang, making the score 2-1, after the Skinks get some terrible luck trying to pick up the ball. Or perhaps they still had birthing pool juices all over their hands. Higurashi Tua snatches up the ball and on turn 13 gets another defensive touchdown for Manlet, tying the match. Now, all 4 touchdowns so far this game have been from defensive counterattacking and exploiting the short distance between an offensive ball and its own touchdown line. That's Jim's tactics corner. Birthing pool shooter picks up the ball at the dying moments of the match and is able to score, narrowly giving Capri his 4th win of the season and putting him back tied in first place. Overall, this was a doozy of a match, the highest scoring single match this season of Bico League. While deserved for the Lizards, Coach Manlet has got to be feeling a little raw, maybe a little raw beef, after snatching defeat from the jaws of, well, not defeat.
Well,
All right, and with that, the power rankings at the end of week 5 in first place. Tied for first place, I should say. Moon's 105.2 Hard Rock Cabal and Capri's Cretan Community College both have 4 wins and 1 loss. In third place is Maurice's Natural Born Fowlers with 3 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss. Fourth, Idosian's My Anime Figures, 2 wins, 2 draws, and 1 loss. Fifth, Sleepy Shuriman University, 2 wins, 1 draw, and 2 losses. Doc's Baseless Accusations are filling up 6th, 2 wins, 1 draw, and 2 losses also for him. Mindless British Museum Moyais pin up the 2-win category in 7th with 2 wins and 3 losses. Fox's Parkour Pros are 8th with 1 win, 1 draw, and 3 losses. Coach SHG's The Twitch Gamers 9th with 3 draws and 2 losses, and holding up the table at the bottom is Coach Leo's Bulging's BBC 4 with 1 draw and 4 losses. Now, guys, it's time for us to get to know the coaches better. I travelled to Lustria to have a sit down with veteran Coach Capri. Let's play the interview. Hi everyone, Jim here, and I travelled to Cretan Community College to interview our esteemed Coach Capri. Let me just start by asking, how are you this fine day?
I'm mighty fine, Jim. Thanks for asking.
It's a pleasure to be invited here and to be able to ask you some questions. So let's just start with your victory over Coach Manlet, 3-2. You must be feeling good after that, especially, you know, from the battering you took last week. It's got to be good to get on the winning horse, right?
Boy, do I feel good about it. After last week, things were a bit shaky. Morale was down. We really needed this win,
Mm,
and I think after this, the players are gonna, are gonna get their head back in the game. They're gonna be more confident in their abilities, because let me tell you, man, the after the battering that we took last time, the players weren't looking too good. Uh,
mm.
yeah.
A lot of came back from injury, right? Do you think you'll have to make some cuts in the lineup?
Well, we already have made one. Cloaca Studies major just couldn't cut it anymore. She realized that she just wasn't up to snuff after this injury. She decided
Mm,
to go and pursue her studies more. She has been replaced by the one of the substitutes that we had. This tail ain't free. But aside from that, most of the players seem fine. We've been monitoring their condition, and they'll get back on their feet and they'll keep playing.
that's excellent to hear, and I wish her the best in her studies. So let me just ask you first: how do you think you have grown as a coach? This season from last.
Well, coming back to Lizardmen has been an interesting experience. Um, Considering their biology, the players are more specialized.
Mm,
Uh, it's more of a thinking game. There's less flexibility, but at the same time, you can push for advantages with each of the players knowing what they're supposed to do. Uh, and I think playing with these people, playing with these students has really helped me um, see the grander scheme of things on the pitch. Uh,
absolutely.
so yeah, I think my macro coaching has really improved this season compared to the last one.
How do you feel your team is performing this season so far?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, these are rookies. I didn't have any expectations from them. I came from the Hrothgar Horkers to the Cretin Community College when my dear friend Cretin asked me to coach a university team.
Mm,
And the first time I looked at them, I thought that they had potential, but we weren't going to go very far. And yet, uh, even after a crushing defeat at Maurice's hands, we are still tied for first place in the season.
yeah.
They have very much overshot my expectations, um, especially Moron himself, Cretin's nephew. Uh, when he told me about him, I didn't really believe in him. I thought he was just another king. But look at him now. That little bugger is quick on his feet.
Absolutely. So, what I would like to know, and I think a lot of our listeners would like to know, is we're beyond the halfway point of the season. So, where are you in these last few games looking to improve your roster, and sort of what's the target end in your standings? Are you looking to win out all of your games? Is there a game you're looking towards and really focusing on?
Well, certainly we're aiming to win every match that we have
Mm,
upcoming, but you know, I'd say the most difficult one that we still have is the one against Hard Rock Cabal. Coach Moon, absolute star of the season.
absolutely.
Much respect to him. In the previous season, the up and coming rookie, now a an
Established
established coach.
coach, yeah, in his
Yeah,
own
an
right, yeah.
established coach. A real bastion of the sport, and all I'm gonna say is that match is good. Is bound to be interesting.
Absolutely.
As
If
for,
I'm not mistaken, that's a week 7 match. So to all our
I think
listeners,
so.
keep mark that in your calendars. It'll be a real slobber knocker.
Yeah. As for improvements to the team, I think right now the only way to go is up. It's all about that vertical investment, getting those skills on those
Mm,
Soros.
mm.
We're gonna have to do some very fine-tuned training to get them where they need to be to, to stand a chance.
In a previous sort of match, post-match interview, you were recorded as lamenting the lack of skill level ups that your players were getting. Um, do you,
Indeed.
well, attribute level ups would be more accurate. Do you feel hard done by when compared to some of the other coaches in the league and their improvements?
Well, I can't say that I don't feel that, but that's just the nature of the beast. That's the sport.
Mm,
Uh, I believe in my lizards. I think they're even without attribute level ups, they're gonna go far, and hopefully I'm up to standard, and my coaching can take them to new heights, even without attributes, even without skills.
well, I mean, having multiple Saurus with block on the front line is definitely a good place to start from, right?
You bet it is.
Well, we've been talking a lot about this season, but I'd like to know, Bico League is a running franchise, and we're getting increasingly closer to next season. Do you think, or do you have any inkling or anything you would like to share on perhaps teams you're perhaps looking to move on once your tenure at Cretan Community College is over?
Um, that's a really interesting question. My partnership with Cretin has been very lucrative so far, but
Mm,
and Lostria is a beautiful continent, but I miss home, man. I think next season I'm gonna go back to my roots, and I'm gonna look for a team or in the old motherland. As for the specifics of it, I can't say. I think it's too
mm.
early to draw any conclusions. But dear viewers of the Bico League show, all I can say is that season 3 is gonna be interesting. It's gonna be diverse, uh, and yeah, I don't really have I don't really have the answers for you right now, John.
No,
But
that's
we'll
fine.
see.
It's important to play cards close to your chest, and I can understand how looking forward after the season can perhaps take you out of focusing on this season.
Indeed, indeed.
I
Right
would.
now, what we need to do, and what I advise all the coaches to do is to think about the present, be in the moment, because
Mm,
every Bico League season is different, and we must cherish these times with our players and in competition with other coaches.
100%. How do you think you're going to fare? Like, I have to ask this. Do you think you're going to win the season championship?
Well, I certainly hope so. If I remember correctly, our next match is against Coach Leo,
Mm,
which no shade, but that should be a bit of an easier fare. And then the next 3 matches are more difficult.
mm.
We are not tied with Coach Moon and Hard Rock Cabal and the Natural Born Fowlers are on our heels, so we're going to have to lock in to focus if we want to win it all. But I think we can do it. I think the Lizardmen have it in them to do it.
Indeed, the betting odds from the Bell Polishers website is showing that if you can win your match against Coach Moon, you're almost certainly a lock in for winning the title. However, if you lose that match against Coach Moon, then they put your most probable finishing position in third place. Still very high, still very good for the Crown tournament. But uh, with Coach Maurice leapfrogging you into second place. So I will be wishing you the best in your matches. Personally, I have to be unbiased, of course, in all my coverage, but I really think you have a good chance. And of course, are you going to be pushing for the Crown Championship?
Oh, you bet your ass I am. Uh, But yeah, on that, ladies and gentlemen, before that week 7 match, you know who to bet for.
Well, I can't share the odds, it's against our terms, but just passing
But
on
they
that
know. Yeah,
information.
don't worry, they know. They know where to go.
That's bellpolishers.oldworld. Not sponsored.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored at all. All right. Well, is there any final things you would like to share with our amazing audience?
I'm glad that all of you keep buying tickets, keep showing up. It's been a delight to participate in this league, and I'm glad that everybody seems to think the same thing. And I can't wait for more matches. I love Blood Bowl.
Excellent to hear. Thank you so much for your time, Coach Capri. This is the head coach and manager of Cretin Community College. Right now in first place, or tied first place in the standings. And remember that week 7 match against Coach Moon's 105.2 Hard Rock Cabal. It's going to be a real doozy of a match. Thank you again, and I will see you all later. Back to the studio.
What a great interview.
Thank you. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you so much. Well, it's nearly time for our show to end, so let's look forward to next week's matches. Leslie, Capri versus Leo. Is this match at all in question?
I mean, what's the question?
Does Leo have a cat in hell, a squig in Norska's chance, I should say, of winning this game?
I mean, it's a good question. I mean, short of a second Capri versus Maurice, I doubt it.
Fair. Then let's just immediately move on. Mr. Skulls, Coach Moon versus Coach Manlet. How do you think this one's going to go?
I mean, do we have to talk about this all that much? I think Coach Moon is going to wipe here again, unless something happens to Radioactive. I don't think Coach Manlet's going to be able to keep him pinned down.
I don't think any of you guys are wrong, but we're going to have some imagination here, you know? We've had upsets before. Any of them can happen.
I mean, those little goblins can sure pull some miracles out of their ass. Who knows?
Well, let's see. Leslie, Coach Maurice, natural born foulers against the baseless accusations by Doc. Any upset here?
I gotta be honest with you, Jim. I genuinely try to keep an open mind, but this upcoming week just sounds like the safest series of bets in history.
We're trying. We're doing a show. We're trying, guys. We're trying to spice it up. But perhaps Leslie isn't wrong here. Okay, Mr. Skulls. Dojin versus Sleepy. I mean, this one's got to be exciting, right? A very squishy Dodge team against 6 Hall Ogres.
Yeah, perhaps this is like the one match of the week that isn't just locked in. It's going to come down to those mighty blow procs, I think. If Dojin loses like 10 players on turn 1, then, you know. With all that dodge and that mobility, I think he's going to be able to pull through for a win.
For sure. And Leslie, let's round this up. Final match of next week. Coach SHG's Twitch Gamers against the Parkour Pros by the rookie Fox. Do you think Fox can get his second win?
Against the Twitch Gamers in this current state, having recently lost one of their key players, it's very, very, very possible.
Well, now, sadly, it is time for our show to end. Thank you all very much for listening to Cabalvision HD's Bico League show presented by Bloodwiser. Thank you for joining us, Leslie.
Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Scores.
Goodbye.
Stay tuned for the Week 6 broadcast coming to your crystal ball soon. I've been Jim, and happy bowling.